I've been showing you the process I use to make sourdough einkorn bread because I figured out a way to make it easier to do and also less expensive. I'm Susan Gleaton, root cause dietitian, and when people come to me for digestive or other issues, I try to figure out why it all happened in the first place so that as they get better and symptoms are gone or improve, then it doesn't just all come back again. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you can continue to get my content. So in the last step, you might recall I am in a hurry to get my bread done, and so I'm not letting it ferment this very last day, or sourdough this last day as I could, but instead I've speeded up the process by putting it in my oven on bread proof so that it would rise sooner. And I do have it covered with this plastic, which has some oil on it. I didn't quite get to the top of the plastic, but it almost did. It probably would have if I had left it in there longer. Now, I really don't like the idea of this type of plastic, soft plastic, especially soft plastic, and heat, because I know it just outgasses and that's getting all in my sourdough bread. I did figure out something else I could have done, so I'll tell you, and I'll be doing this from here on out. So if I need to use the oven in the future, or maybe I'll just start doing this instead, what I'm going to do is cover this with a piece of parchment paper, and I'll oil that down and then put it with the oil side down, and then get a large towel, damp, and then just cover the whole thing with that damp towel. That way there will be no more outgassing from the plastic wrap. So I've just adapted my recipe a little bit. Alright, so we're going to take off this plastic that we won't need anymore. And so I have clean hands, and I just wipe down the counter because this is the last messy step. So there will be flour and the sourdough on the counter. So you want to make sure it's clean, and then also make sure it's had a chance to dry as well. So before I get everything out, I am back to using the rye flour because all the flour used from here on out will not be actually in the bread. It's used to keep things from sticking. So yes, a little bit will be incorporated into the bread, but not much. So you can use anything you want. You could use einkorn flour. For a long time, I was using a gluten-free baking mix that I had purchased and just kept in the fridge forever, and I just wasn't using it. It was mainly tapioca, and so I used that up for like a year or more, just for flouring things down. And then when I ran out of that, then I started using the rye flour instead. So what we're going to do is we're going to flour down two things. So I'll be spreading some flour here to form the loaf, and then I will be transferring it to this cloth and putting into this bowl. So this is smaller than the bowl that I've had the bread rising in. It doesn't really matter what size bowl exactly, but something a little bit smaller. And I know they do make certain things for sourdough that's like some type of a bowl and some type of a cloth cover for it. But this cloth, it's actually a dish towel that my daughter made me. And it's, the flour and all doesn't stick to it. So it's like, it doesn't have any texture to it really. So it's not like an ordinary dish towel that would like absorb a lot of water. And in fact, I wanted the opposite. So it's very smooth, and it does, and the flour just kind of stays on the surface of it. All right, so get the rye flour, and putting like probably a couple of tablespoons here. You can add more later. Probably a good tablespoon on the cloth. And on this cloth, I'm just spreading it out. You can't really see it, I realize. I'm spreading it out about the size that I think the whole bowl is. So just about that size in case it rises up that big. So it's probably about a foot diameter that I made the flour in a circle. And then this flour on the counter is going to be about a foot in diameter as well. All right, so I got as much flour on my hands as I possibly can because it's not sticking well, but as much as I can and kind of rub it in a little bit, because remember, einkorn really absorbs moisture. So even though I added a lot of einkorn flour to this, it's probably still sticky. And so now I'm just kind of I'm turning the bowl and scraping it down. And so I'm scraping it off the edges, and it's not too awfully sticky, so that's good. I'm just gonna reflour my hand and just continue scraping it. So basically I'm attempting to get this whole thing out of there in one piece as much as possible. And so there we go. All right, so there is some flour on the bottom, and I'm not going to use it. It'll just be rinsed off. Okay, so now I'm going to flour up both hands as much as I can. And then this is just a common way of forming a round loaf, or at least the way I made it up. So I learned making bread years ago, but it was yeast bread, and I made loaves of it. So I may have kind of adapted some of my loaf making tendencies into this, but it works. So all you're trying to do is, I'm going to flour my hands a little bit more. So all you're trying to do, the main idea, oh well, it'll be fine, is to get this folded over and into a round shape so that I can transfer it over to that cloth. Okay, so it's like petals of a flower. So I'm peeling it up, and this is pretty sticky, but it's not sticking too bad, although it's stickier than I like. So I'm peeling up like a petal of it, folding it over, starting at the fold or the crease, and pressing out. Now, if this was a yeast bread, there would be all kinds of air coming out, all kinds of bubbles, etc. And you really have to do this a lot. It's called burping the loaf, or else you'll have a lot of pockets of air in your bread. Now, that doesn't happen so much with sourdough, at least not with einkorn sourdough. So I'm still doing it though, because I'm just trying to make the loaf. So I'm having to do this a lot more than I used to. For a yeast bread, it's probably a smaller amount. So I'm just kind of basically folding it over and over again until I think it looks okay. So I think it looks pretty good, pretty transferable. So I'm going to so I've got it about this big, and so see, I was able to just pick it up. And I don't think I have so much that I'm going to have to make anything else with it. So now I'm taking it and I'm scooting it all over the flour. I'm trying to incorporate as much of this flour on the bottom of the circle or round loaf thing that I made. The top side really doesn't matter what it looks like, but I am trying to get it kind of even and any cracks sort of filled in. Okay, so it's got lots of flour on the bottom. That way when I transfer it over to the floured cloth, it's not going to stick. All right, so I'm going to take the floured cloth. I'm going to try to move this as much as possible, and put the floured cloth into the bowl. Okay, this is a little bit more than usual, but it's still fine. Okay, so at this point, this needs to rise. So because I don't have my parchment paper out here and I don't have it oiled down, I will use this plastic again with the oiled side down, and I just kind of crunched it up so I didn't keep track of which side was oiled. This is really important that the oil side is down, so when you have your parchment paper, be sure to oil it because this is going to rise and it's going to touch it. So that's all we do. We just let it rise a bit, and then I will show you the next step.